Hello and welcome to Colin Bradley Artcast. I'm Stephen Bradley.
And I'm Colin Bradley.
And we're back again with another
Yes.
podcast.
All ready to go again. And
we had some really lovely comments on our last podcast. So many people glad to see us back.
Good. Well, we're glad to be back, aren't we, Steve? I mean, it's lovely to be in touch. I did like the comment from Brenda, who said that since we lost the podcast last October or decided not to do it, we've kind of lost touch. And I think I felt the same way, and I'm sure you did too.
Yeah.
And it was nice to hear that that personal touch is back again, folks.
Yeah, exactly. We're not getting too big that we can't do a podcast.
No, although I've got to say that the fact that we did stop doing it the way we did it gave you much more time to do the things that we're doing now. So,
yeah.
I mean, we've come back at the right time now because you've now sorted it all out, and we're going down the live route, which means you haven't got so much work to do.
No, that's right. That's right. I mean, it's been a nice welcome break, really, for me to be able to focus on the business and putting into place, all the new things that we've got lined up, so that it frees me up to do this.
Absolutely, yeah. So, although we can just, I think, treat it as just a break, rather long one, but nevertheless just a break.
Yeah,
and we can now continue into the future.
Oh yes. So, we've just uploaded the last few days a new course, and it was Scotney Castle, and this was a really interesting one. I wrote about it actually. The Scotney Castle you did like 20 years ago was a starter pack, and you used 6 pencils, and then you decided to reproduce. We had requests for this picture as well, but you reproduced it with, well, as many pencils as you wanted, really, wasn't it? And it's crazy. I mean, if you haven't already compared the two pictures side by side, it's just insane, isn't it? And we uploaded a clip onto YouTube, which has gone down really well. But you want to talk about this picture a little bit, don't you, Dad? Because there's a section that you want to mention.
The only thing I would say that it didn't actually start out as that 6-pack. It started out as a full-fledged Scotney Castle painting, but it was never filmed. It was never going to be a picture that was going to be ever a member's picture, because I thought it was too difficult. I did it originally for publicity and for showing off the pastel pencils in on the shows and so on. So it was actually designed as a proper picture to be shown like that. It was a little later on, when it was a very popular. I had it as a print as well, which sold really well. And it was only a little while later that I thought, oh, I wonder if I can do that with a limited amount of pencils, making it much more simple for people to do. And that's what I did. And that was very successful, one of the most successful packs we've had. So it was great. And I knew that it was, the subject material was so good. And then I thought, why don't I now go the whole hog and do it as I would do a picture, in my professional style. And that's what I've done, and that's what we've got. And that's why this is now so popular, because there's so much in it. As you said to me, it's a long one, this one. But people, I'm sure, will be spellbound by all the different textures that we create. So it is very good. But one of the things, and this is what brings me to the point you mentioned, that I was watching this morning the clip on the second half of part 3 for those members that have got the landscape, and members who've got the all-in. Part 3, towards the middle-ish part of that, where I deal with the foliage between the distant trees on the right-hand side and the water. And when I was doing that, I thought, this is a perfect way that our members can start thinking about a more impressionistic approach. It was more loose would be the word, than I've done before. Now, in the coming months, probably the next 6 months or so, we're going to be releasing quite a lot of pictures, landscape pictures with trees and foliage in them. And they're going to be impressionistic. Most of them are. There's one or two more centers more on the realism, but most of them are going to be a very impressionistic style, because I wanted to do that. So anybody wanting to do those pictures, I strongly advise them to do the Scotney Castle, or that, even if it's just that section, just to give them an idea of how I'm going to be producing the impressionistic, looser work coming up later on. Folks, I tell you, once you can crack that, you're on your way. You see, there's so much more to this, Steve, than people would realize, I think, when they're looking at it. When you start thinking and looking, especially at foliage, you're looking at impressionism, so you're actually trying to recreate the effects and the feelings of the imagery, rather than a precise blade of grass or a precise leaf. You see, leaf, you know what I mean? So when you start doing that, everything you do starts to change. It moves into all the animals, the portraits, everything you do will start to change. So I don't think I can put enough emphasis on the people and members having a go at this. Even if you're an animal artist, folks, just do that bit, because it will teach you so much. The first of all, you'll find, oh, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. But if you're looking, folks, at my picture of the tiger on the screen, you'll see that the flicks of grass that you can just about see on the picture, and there's more in the actual picture itself, are just flicks of grass and things. But how atmospheric does that make that picture? Now, imagine that when you do a whole picture that's based on an impressionistic idea, how much more satisfying is it, one, to do in the first place, and two, to look back on and have people appreciate what you're doing. I've got to tell you that this is true art. This is art. This is coming from inside you. It's not copying, because you can't copy. If you try copying what I did, you won't succeed. But you'll copy the ideas and the techniques that I'm showing you, then you will do and develop your own thing. That is art.
That's really well put.
I hope I haven't gone on too long, but
no, that's
I feel
really well put.
it.
Yeah, no, really well put. I really like that. It's a lovely quote. And I think, well, nothing more can be said about that. I think brilliant. I will say there's some building work going next door. So if you hear some noises on my microphone, it's something going on next door.
Well, I can't hear anything. So
well, that's because I'm doing a good job of muting my microphone when there's noises. So I just thought.
So what we're gonna hear, folks, in the next sort of half an hour or so, we're going to hear Stephen saying, "Now, but we're going up." But
I'll just say, right. Hold on a second. I'll be back in a minute. I'll tell you what.
Okay.
You talk for half an hour, Dad, and then
I'll do that.
Yeah, no, lovely. I really like what you said there.
Well, this is why it's so much fun being live, Steve, isn't it? We can't edit anything like that out.
Well, I can't even edit it in the actual show either. So
no.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to your questions. The first one I've got isn't actually a question. Before we move on to questions, it's an email we had from Mary, and I wanted to bring it up because Mary's done. Well, I'll read it out. Hello, Colin. Today I did a demonstration at my art club of eyes with pastel pencils using your instructions on your video. It was a great success, and as I explained how I learned everything from your website, several members asked how to find you. So I hope that you will get a few more members and I will get a gold star. Regards, Mary.
Oh, yes. You
certainly got a gold star there. And she attached a picture, which we'll put on the website, of all the work that the members did at her art club. And they're really good and fantastic. And we're so grateful, Mary, that you did that, demonstrating your techniques, Dad. It's great.
Yeah, spreading the word. This is what we want. We want more people to get out there and do that kind of thing. Apart from anything else, it's good for them too, to broadcast what they do. There's a lot of fun in it.
Yeah, and good. It's wonderful that we've had a few now, as people have been listening to the podcast from the beginning. A lot of people doing demonstrations, and it's great. I mean, we're so proud of them.
Absolutely. It is terrifying when you first do it. I appreciate that, but I've got to assure you, if you can crack that, public speaking is hard anyway, but if you can crack that and use your artwork as your tool rather than you, in other words, if you're looking at doing a picture, put all the emphasis on the pencils, sell the pencils, sell the idea of that, then it takes it away from you and you don't feel quite so vulnerable.
And I suppose people have got you to sort of sell in the way.
Yeah, Colin told me this, Colin said this, Colin told me.
These are Colin's techniques. Yeah, you can put the emphasis, if you want, on Dad to take it away from you.
That's right. It's all good. Gradually, you won't need to do that. Gradually, you'll gain the confidence, and that confidence will see you through doing your own thing. Then you can forget me altogether then.
Yeah, do your own thing.
Decide, oh, by the way, I learned all this from Colin Bradley. His website is so-and-so and so-and-so.
We'll give you some business cards to hand out. Lovely. Well done, Mary. That's wonderful to receive the email. Next one is from Mark. This is a question. Hello, Colin and Stephen. I have a question about the Westie. This is a pack that's included in our membership, the West Highland Terrier. Mark says, I'm on my third attempt, and so far it's not too bad, but the reference picture, there are some quite intense white streaks of hair. Did you use Polychromos pastel for this? If not, could you tell me how you achieved this effect?
I didn't. Hang on, I did. Did I do that on that? You know, going back a long way now. Did I or didn't I? Well, whether I did or not, the answer to that is yes, you can. The thing I would suggest you did is to do the very best you can with the pastel pencil first of all. Then you can if you've got a sharpish Polychromos, or break one so that you get a good edge, you can then use that. I would probably prefer you to use the Polychromos rather than soft pastel. Soft pastel is a little bit unmanageable, and it can leave like a thick streak, you know, rather than the thinner lines that you would need for that. So the answer to that is yes. Can't remember, sorry, whether I did or not.
But you can.
I don't. When you go back 20 years, or I don't know, it must be a long time since I've done that picture. I can't remember. I do know that out of interest, there is, I think it was the West Highland Terrier that was on an American site I saw once. I can't remember even the name of that now. Oh, art something. Artist Network, that's it. If you ever want to look at it, Artist Network they've got YouTube site, and there's quite a lot on there of my work, and I've got a feeling the West Highland Terrier is on there as well. Yeah. Anyway, whatever, you can use Polychromos, and it's probably a good idea. But there are a few pictures coming up, I've got to tell you, where I don't use it at all. In fact, the one that very recent was the miniature schnauzer, and I didn't use Polychromos on that at all, as you know, if you looked at it. But they've got some very long hair, and if you look at that and study it, you'll find that you can probably emulate that on your West Highland. But yes, use Polychromos by all means. No reason why not. You can use soft pastel too, but it's just got to be a little bit more careful with it.
Okay, good. A good question, Mark. Thanks for that. The next one we have is from Ian. Colin, I use a double mount for my paintings, as well as spraying the painting with a fixing agent. Is this overkill?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Next question. No, seriously. Well, people that know me know that I don't like spraying at all because it deadens the picture. The only thing I would say about it, if you do that and spray it and then look at it and think, the white's gone a bit grey, you can actually use the white pencils or the other pencils to liven that up again over the top of the fixative, and it does work. So that's one thing you can do. If you think you've ruined a picture, you probably, well, I think you probably have to a certain extent, but you can get out of it by using that. Now, double mount should work. Now, the only time when this is a bit of a problem is if the picture is a large one. You see, if you're looking at about an A4 size, you should be able to get away with a double mount easy. And this is why I tend not to make pictures any bigger than A4 in actual size, because once you mount that up, you're probably looking at least a 14 by 11 mount, and then you've got a frame on top of that. So it's going to be a reasonable sized picture. And you can even mount it with a bigger mount. So maybe a 16 by 12 would work. And that's quite a big picture. So, but if you've used the image size is bigger than A4, then that means your paper is going to be more likely to touch the glass, which is where the problem is. If the pastel touches the glass, you get a little smudge mark. I think people have got to find their own level on this. As I say, I don't do it myself. I prefer to double mount. I don't do anything bigger than A4 as a rule. If I did, what I would use is a treble mount. You can even get away with that. You know my Polychromos picture, Steve, that I got, which I've talked about many, many times. That's a really big picture. I can't even remember how big it is, but it's at least twice A3 size. It's big. Now, in that one, I used a double mount, but I also used what they call a razor. You can put a little slip of, it's wood actually, that goes inside that pushes the picture back from the mount. A framer would know how to do this. That is another way that you can push the picture just a bit further back into the frame. So there's lots of different ways, and probably the best way to do it is to ask your framer or ask a framer their advice. But spraying the picture, well, if you have to do it, you have to do it. I personally wouldn't.
What I found interesting is recently, and we may as well mention it on here because it will be coming very, very soon. We got out some of your original work to scan because we're going to be producing giclée prints that people are going to be able to buy. And the red squirrel is the first one we're going to do. And the red squirrel holding the nut, really lovely picture. And it was really interesting, actually, to get that. I mean, must be a 20-year-old picture as well. Yep, and looking at that just sort of single mounted in a cellophane bag that you had, how little pastel had come up, and that had been under layers and layers of original pictures that you've got. And I was really impressed with how well kept it had been.
And the other thing about that one, particular one, Stephen, there was a lot of soft pastel in that.
Yeah,
that was never and never probably will be. Well, I shouldn't never ever say never, because the way our members are going, they'll be able to do that soon. It was never one intended for videoing or printing, it was printing. I sold a lot of prints of it originally, but it was never intended as a member's picture to be videoed. So I could go to town on that with the soft pastel, and I did. So even soft pastel in a situation like that didn't come off.
Yeah.
No, you're quite right. It depends how you. The other thing about the pastel pencil mainly is that you do push it into the paper more than you would do if you were using a soft pastel, which tends to lie on the surface. So you don't get quite so much of that transfer through. But it will happen if you don't take the precautions.
Anyway, thanks, Ian, for that question. Next one comes from Jill. Jill says, often when you get a photo of a dog or a cat, the eyes are not defined with the add light reflections, because I'm not quite understanding that. Because they will not always be professional photos. So the eyes aren't always defined. And obviously they're not always lit. The eyes aren't well lit. Would Colin just go in and do his best to make up where the lighting in the eye is, or would you leave it dark?
My answer to that probably would be no, I wouldn't make it up. It's very hard to make a light up. You get it wrong and it look absolutely awful. So generally speaking, I don't do any pictures without any indication of a line, of a light. I wouldn't do it. But there are a couple, like the elephant. If people go back onto the elephant, there is no way you can see an elephant's eye. It just doesn't work. It's just too dark and there's no light in it at all. So if people look at that elephant, they'll see that I don't actually draw an eye. I imply it, but I don't put it in. And it's the same with horses. They're another area. We've got a couple coming up sooner or later on the members site that I've done. And you'll see that I do put lights in the eye in that, because when I had the original picture, I could see the light. What you can do sometimes is enhance the light. If you suspect it's there and you see it and you copy it almost exactly as you see it, and then you enhance it a bit more, that would work. But as far as making it up, no, I wouldn't do it. So what do you do? Well, you just do the best you can. If you've got a commission, for instance, and it's a lovely picture, but you can't see the eye, then I would just do it as you see it, but don't make it up. But the argument then would be, yes, but if you haven't got a light in the eye, it loses its life, and that it is absolutely true. It does. But there's not much you can do about it. If you try making things up, folks, you could be in a spot of bother.
Yeah.
So no, the answer is I don't.
Okay, good question. So thanks, Jill, for sending that in. Next one is from Maria. Hi, Steve. Recently, Colin recommended taping the paper to a drawing board, which I noticed in his videos. My question is, if you're using an A4 sized paper, what size margin is being taped? Many thanks, Maria.
Oh, it's quite a good question. Generally speaking, you want a board bigger than A4. And I would say that you've got I would have at least 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters clear all the way around, so that when you put the tape on, the tape that I use is a 1 inch tape, and some of it will go onto the mount. I don't like to put too much on the mount, usually about, well, 1 centimeter absolute maximum. Sometimes you'll see the tape on the actual paper would be only at 0.5 centimeter.
Right.
That doesn't really matter that much. The only problem, the more you tape down, the more risk you've got when you take it off, of it actually tearing. Although people know how I do that. I pull away from the image area, so that there's enough examples on YouTube and also the members site of me doing that. So that's what I would do. I would have a drawing board at least 1 inch all the way around. And if you say to me, yeah, but some of yours don't look like that. No, they're not. I've got lots of different sizes, and I know what I'm doing generally. The other thing I've got a problem with is the videoing. Because I like to frame all the pictures within a certain size, I tend to make them slightly smaller. When you look at my picture on the screen, it might look A4, but in fact it isn't. It's at least 10% lower than that. But when you get your picture, it's A4. I can work quite tight, therefore I can afford to blow the picture up just a bit when I scan it.
Yeah, it's good valid point, really. It's interesting. We never had that before about
that was interesting.
The taping down, but that's good. So okay, well, thanks everyone for those questions for this week. Obviously your questions make this podcast, and otherwise we'd just be talking about building works every week. So it's
or the weather. Do you know we haven't mentioned the weather?
Oh, let's not. Let's do one without. No, actually, there was a storm last night.
I know, it was awful. We had some. We've still got it now at the moment. Never mind.
Almost went a podcast without talking about the weather, didn't we?
I couldn't let that happen, Steve.
No. I was quickly trying to wrap it up, but no, snuck in there.
Now you're going to get a big hammer going or a big saw going now.
That's it. And then
over your last comments.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, no, quickly while there's no noise. So obviously send your questions to us, get in touch via the website. All of our details are on there, and we'll mention them on the show. And we'll be back next week with a feedback show. So we've got already a load of submissions coming. So if you want your feedback on your artwork, then make sure you're a member of the website and then send that through to us as well. And I did mention giclée prints coming to the store, so look out for those.
Yeah, look out for them. They are gorgeous. I saw Stephen showed me one yesterday that he's done in the square. I honestly couldn't tell which was the original and which was the print. It was so good. Brilliant. Lovely.
Yeah.
Look forward to them. Yeah. The other thing I was just going to mention, Steve, did you say next week the feedback show will be slightly earlier? Is it worth mentioning?
Oh, yes. Thanks for reminding me that. Yes, we're going to do the feedback show slightly earlier. I think it'll be about 5 o'clock GMT, so 5 p.m. rather than 7 p.m. So,
do you want to tell them why or not?
Only because I'm helping out in a show next week.
So. Oh, he's not helping out. He's
well, I jumped in last minute, so it's kind of, they asked me if I could jump in, and I did. And literally jumped in. So I am, I'm performing next week every evening. So we'll be have to do it a little bit earlier before I have to rush to the.
So it hasn't completely cut out the old acting and the dancing and so on.
No, and I'm also working on A Midsummer Night's Dream as well in London.
I didn't know that. You see, now you spring it on me sometimes.
Well, it's cousin, our family.
Oh yes, of course. Oh, of course. So, yes, Jacqueline.
Yes. So it's within the family. I'm again helping out as you do. As family does.
Of course you do. Well, you enjoy it, Stephen. It's nice to keep your hand in.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. So. Okay, good. All right. Well, we'll leave it there. So thanks everyone for tuning in. I'm Steve Bradley.
And I'm Colin Bradley.
Enjoy your week.